Kia ora boys and girls, it's Ms Macintosh here. So I do some videos every now and then just to go over some of the stuff from class, maybe to help you if you like kind of listening and you're taking it in but you kind of need it again. So feel free to watch. If you've got any comments you can just come tell me or email me or something. But the whole idea is just to kind of help you when you're at home and you need trying to do something and you just need it explained to you one more time. So what I'm going to do today is talk about excess demand and supply. So this is sort of like a key skill we start with and when we look at market equilibrium, and it's the idea of why market equilibrium is amazing and why markets tend to go back to market equilibrium. If you're not in equilibrium, it's not a good story. So today in my class, and you might be doing this in your class, we're going to look at, well, I'm going to look at this. I'm going to be looking at the Kapiti Coast holiday home market, and we're going to look at market equilibrium, so when that would occur in this market, so what price and what quantity, what the price would be for holiday homes, like this is the going rate, right? So the current going rate, what that would be, and what the amount of holiday homes rented in this case would be. So we're going to put that together, and then the whole thing we want to look at is, well, what would happen if, say, I don't know, some of these tourist consumers, people wanting to go to the coast, try and negotiate a cheaper price. Try and go, no, I don't want to pay that, I want to pay a lot less. Or what if some of the owners of the holiday homes decided that they wanted to make a bit more profit and tried to get a higher price? And so what we're kind of going with is that if you're at equilibrium and someone tries to get a better deal, that's going to lead to a situation of either a shortage, not enough homes, or it's going to lead to like too many holiday homes in this case being offered and not enough people wanting them. So just some key tips when you have this situation. I haven't got an example here, but basically the equilibrium price, I can just tell you because I actually have the answers right in front of me, is actually going to be 200. So equilibrium is going to be bang here, right? You can just see there. And what we're going to be looking at is, in this situation, what if the price of holiday homes was 250? So 250 would be there. Actually, do you know what I could just do? I could just totally put in the quantity demanded here. That would make it probably easier for you to see. So 350, 250, you can have a go at calculating this yourself. 200, 150, and 50. So I could find you like the appendix that has the answer to this and it could show you the graph. But if we just look at that, then you can see that when the price is 200, the quantity demanded is 200, and lo and behold, that's also what the quantity supplied is. It's 200. So if in this example you were, the holiday home owners tried to get a price of 250, that's going to be like here, up here, and then we can look that the quantity supplied according to this graph would be 250, so 200, it's very precise, 250 holiday homes offered at $250 a night. Whereas when the price is 250, consumers in this market are only willing and able to rent 150 holiday homes. So their quantity demanded by the market consumers would only be 150. So like here's your quantity supplied and here would be your quantity demanded. These are the homes that are willing and able to be rented, whereas this is how many would be offered. So what we would have in that case is a surplus, and another name is excess supply. So excess supply just means a surplus. And in this case here, the idea is that if the price was set above equilibrium, which would be here, okay, 200, you can sort of see that from the table here, then you're going to have a situation where the quantity supplied will be greater than the quantity demanded. And if you think about it, when the price is high, consumers don't want to buy as much because it's less affordable, whereas for producers they're like the other way, oh, that's quite profitable, I'm willing to put my home out on the market. So any price above market equilibrium, and this is just generally as a rule, any price above market equilibrium is going to lead to a surplus, whereas if you have a situation where the price is too low, so it's below 200, then that's going to lead to a situation of excess demand or a shortage, and that's because the consumers are like, whoa, I want more, it's more affordable, whereas the holiday homes are like, God, I can barely afford to pay for the cleaner to come in to clean after you, so that's not so good, and they'll decrease their quantity supply. So today's scenario, we will be looking at a surplus, and we'll look at how the market responds and they get back to a point of equilibrium. Because if you've got too many holiday homes out there, they're not going to be rented, and that's not a good outcome. You've got homes that are empty and not being used. And whereas if we could lower the price, okay, so I sort of told you that, and get to a point of equilibrium, everyone who's willing to rent a home will get one at that price, and anyone who's willing to supply a home at that price will get one rented. So equilibrium is the point where sales can happen, where in this case holiday homes can be rented. If you have too many homes like out there and empty, then that's kind of wastage. You know, in a market situation, they won't be sold, so that's not good. Whereas if you've got a shortage, you'd have like a queue of people lining up to get to the holiday home, and that's actually something that we have in the rental market in New Zealand. So I'm going to skip over here. This video only goes for 15 minutes, so let's try and get under. And this is something that I came up with a few years ago. I think this is quite a long time ago. We had some students who were kind of struggling with this whole explanation. Like they kind of get it, but they couldn't really get the words across. And so I sort of came up with this little like go-to guide to help them. So here's the key things that I just went over. If you've got a price above the equilibrium price, PE, then you have a surplus, and just the other name for that is excess supply, and that means that QS is greater than QD. If you've got a price below equilibrium, then you have a shortage, which is also known as excess demand. So pretty much if you're thinking about assessment in the exam for this standard, you will have one question, the first one, which asks you to put a market in equilibrium, draw it up, and then it'll ask you to show like a price that's not equilibrium, and you have to show either a shortage or a surplus. You have to label it, and then probably the very first thing they ask you is, oh, you know, if the price is in this case $250, what's going to happen? And you're going to talk about, oh, well, there's going to be a surplus, and then you're going to use the graph and your numbers that you've got to prove your point. There's going to be a surplus because the quantity supplied is going to be $250 at $250 a night, whereas the quantity demanded is only going to be $150 at $250 a night. Therefore, there is 100 holiday homes unrented. So you would have to explain that. And then the bit that people find a bit hard is they often use this word, use market forces, to explain how the market will react, or I don't know, explain how the market will react, or explain something vaguely kind of talking about that. And people are like, well, I don't know, what does that mean? What it means is if you have a surplus in this case, how do we return to equilibrium? And in further translation, what happens to the price? Okay, so really, when you see that idea of market forces, it says that, or it says how will the market react, you need to talk about what will happen to the price to return this market to equilibrium. And in this case, we've got too many holiday homes out there and not enough people are wanting them, so the price is going to need to fall. So I'm just going to skip down to this bit here, all right? And this is like, okay, if you have a situation where you have a surplus, hopefully you get that. That's a good start. If you said it's a shortage, kind of not going to go right then. But if you have, yep, there's a surplus, yay, okay, explain that. So how's the market going to react? So in this case, it's holiday homes. They're unrented, they're sitting empty, and you know you've got to pay for like rent and like rates and like interest. You've got to pay back your mortgage. Like, you know, have to pay for like electricity and stuff. So there are costs to having a house. So if it's not being, you know, used, it's not being rented, then you're not getting any like revenue to offset those costs to pay for them, and you're certainly not getting any profit from owning the holiday home. So it'll be like, oh, no one's like renting a house. Maybe, oh, what if I lowered the price? Yeah, so they're kind of like, oh, no one's buying it. Maybe I should lower the price. They have like a sale. And what we know is thinking about the law of demand and the law of supply. So that's the first situation. Producers might be like, oh, no one's buying our stuff, or our homes aren't rented. Maybe we should lower the price. Something to think about for like perishable goods. So I talk about pies a lot because I crave them. So with a pie, if it doesn't sell, it's going to go off. It's not going to be, you know, like edible, definitely after a day or two. So it's just not as good as when it's freshly baked. So you do need to reduce the price. Otherwise, you know, you're going to have to chuck it out. So you've got that idea. If you think about things like cars, like clothing and stuff, if you don't sell it like when you first produce it and you put it out in the market, it may not be in fashion anymore. And so actually like it becomes outdated, and therefore you may not be able to sell it at all. You might need to send it to like a clearance shop where you'll have to actually reduce the price anyway. So producers can get into a situation like, we need to reduce the price, have a sale. The alternative is that some of these consumers, so people wanting to rent the holiday home, might be like, I can see that your house is not being used and all these houses are empty. I'll rent it, but only if you rent it to me at a much lower price. So like I'll pay you $150. No one else is using it. It's just sitting there empty. So I'll give you $150 a night and let me rent it. Oh, I hope you can't say that. Can I just restart it later? Restart it later. Yeah. I don't know if you can see that. Some message popped up. Go away. So we do talk about consumers bidding down the price, like going, no one's got your stuff. I'll take it. But, you know, they'll offer it lower. So they're kind of trying to get you to reduce the price. And so once you've got past that point, you've identified, surplus, the price needs to fall. Then it's really straight into your law of demand and your law of supply. So we know that as the price decreases, the quantity supplied will decrease. All right, because it's relatively less profitable. So I'd be looking for you to say the QS is going to decrease, quantity supplied is going to decrease, all right, and that's because it's relatively less profitable. Their ability to cover their costs will be less and they'll generate less profit. So we want to say that, all right. Whereas as the price decreases, the quantity demand will increase, and you can totally pop in law of demand, you know, vice versa, ceteris paribus, totally go for it. But you want to say that the quantity demand will increase when the price falls because it's now more affordable. So we want like what's going to happen to quantity demanded and quantity supplied, and we do want a reason why. Consumers' demand is about affordability, whereas quantity supplied for producers is about profitability. And then the key thing is that if you had like your model, like if we go back here, you could talk about the quantity demanded will decrease, quantity supplied rather will decrease from 250 homes to 200 homes per night back to equilibrium, whereas the quantity demanded will increase from 150 homes rented per night to 200. So do use the numbers to talk about this idea of QD increasing and QS decreasing. Did I say that right? QD increasing, QS decreasing. We're the same. And then the last bit is you've got this change in QD and QS is the idea that the price will continue to fall. So it doesn't just happen like overnight. We don't just go boom, boom, back to 200 and then we're back at equilibrium. In the real world, this could take like a long time. It could take several weeks. It could even take a year if like the market's really stuck. But the idea is the price will continue to fall until the quantity supplied decreases and the quantity demanded increases until equilibrium is restored at PEQE. And then I've just got here totally put the numbers from your graph. And then I've sort of got here, if it's underlined, you have to say it. The rest is like additional going for a merit or excellence answer. Right? And there's so much practice on this, especially in your workbook, so totally give it a go. Now, the opposite situation, which we're not going to have today, but what you can have is you might have a shortage. So that would be if the price is somewhere too low, it's below 200. In that case, there you're going to say that the quantity demanded is greater than the quantity supply. The key idea with the price is that it's too low and it needs to go up. So really we talk about consumers here, and we also think about Christmas when the latest toy's out and it sells out and everybody wants it, and all those rich parents go onto Trade Me and like bid up, they put an auction on and offer the highest price to snap it. So when you have a shortage situation, that's totally what happens. So consumers in the market who really, really want that good and have maybe more income, because when you look at the market of consumers, they are all different. They might all want the product and they might be winning for it, but their means in terms of their income may be very different. So you could have a group of really rich consumers who are like, I really want it, and they've got more income, so they bid up the price. And as they bid up the price, the people who can't afford it will kind of drop out of the market. And so what we sort of said that, if they don't really want it, they don't really think it's worth that increased price, and they'll drop out of it. And if they don't have as much income, then they'll certainly drop out as well because they can't afford it. But the idea is that as the price is bid up, the quantity demanded will fall because it's now relatively more expensive. It takes up more of your limited income. But then as the price increases, producers are like, ooh, price is going up, it's more profitable for me. So they'll increase their quantity supplied. And that's the idea that they've got more incentive, they can cover their costs, and they can generate more profit. So the quantity supply goes up, but the quantity demanded goes down. And again, it's that same idea that the price doesn't just go straight up back to equilibrium, in this case, the 200, but it continues to increase until the quantity demanded is decreased enough and the quantity supplied increased enough until they're both equal at equilibrium again. And the market, is stored. You don't have people like waiting, not getting the good, and you don't have like too much of the good left over and no one's buying it. So that's a bit of a rundown of how to explain excess demand and supply and how to talk about how the market returns to equilibrium. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me know your feedback and totally now go and practice this.